In the south of France, close to the former capital of the Provence, Aix-en-Provence, is a steep rise in the landscape, the limestone mountain ridge Sainte-Victoire, reaching heights of 1,000 meters. This massif has a rich history. Here, 100 years BC, the Romans conquered the Teutons. Possibly the name of the massif refers to that victory. Everywhere you can find caves and grottos, and since the classics, the ridge is considered to have been the residence of all sorts of saints. At the west side, the ridge ends with the Mont Sainte-Victoire. This mountain commands the surroundings of Aix-en-Provence. The famous painter Paul Cézanne has depicted the Mont Sainte-Victoire on about 30 oil paintings and 45 watercolors. He was born in Aix-en-Provence in 1839 and died there in 1906. Cézanne painted his own portrait on a number of occasions. Now follow some examples in chronological order, together with some photographs. Cézanne's good friend and fellow French artist Pierre-Auguste Renoir painted this pastel portrait in 1880. Later, Cézanne painted a self-portrait and took Renoir's portrait as a model. Thus, unlike the other self-portraits, this was painted without the use of a mirror. While preserving the dimensions and composition of Renoir's mild portrayal of him, Cézanne's version is harsh and withdrawn. The wallpaper with its diamond pattern appears in a number of Cézanne's still lifes. Besides self-portraits, Cézanne portrayed many persons in his vicinity. This is, for instance, his father reading his newspaper. In his early works, his dark or romantic period, inspired by the example of Gustave Courbet, he used a palette knife and thick dark paint, as in his portrait of a woman with parrot. This technique is called impasto. Unfortunately, it seems that this painting did not very well stand the test of ages. In his mature period, Cézanne used much thinner paint, as in this portrait of his wife. Like many of his portraits, this portrait is nearly void of any hint of the personality or inner character of the subject. The work seems more an exercise in form. He often tips the body and head of the sitter, in this portrait 6 degrees to the left. This ingredient of Cézanne's composition increases the tension and dynamics of the picture. It is not clear if he was theoretically and intellectually fully aware of this so-called distortion. You can see for yourself how it looks when sitter and background are at right angles to each other. This man in a room, painted in 1890, stands 5 degrees out of plumb. Such a deviation from reality could be regarded as a foreboding of 20th century modern art. Cézanne attempts to realize his individual optical sensations and not to depict the reality of linear perspective as present in a two-dimensional photograph, in principle the artistic endeavor of most of his predecessors. It is further suggested that, contrary to straight-line perspective, a concave sphere of vision is represented in this painting. To say a bit more of Cezanne's handling of perspective, which will be further discussed in part 2 of our series on Cezanne, we will return to his early portrait of his father. As we can derive from the base, the positions of the chair legs are clearly not in accord with straight-line perspective. This deviation from perspective rules is also characteristic for his mature paintings. In this portrait of the man with arms folded or crossed, created in circa 1899, we can see another deviation from standard painting rules, namely the incorporation of more than one point of view in a picture. According to the arched eye and eyebrow, the right half of the face seems to be seen from below. However, the left part of the face seems to be seen from above. The eyebrow looks something like a flipped swung dash. A multiple viewpoint in one picture is also used by Leonardo da Vinci in his painting The Virgin and Child with Saint Anne. The Virgin Mary, her child and her mother are seen from a standard frontal point of view. However, the icy lunar landscape in the background is seen from above. Hence, in spite of the rather earthly scene, the three holy figures seem to be situated in more celestial spheres. This red chalk drawing from 1511 might show that also Michelangelo made use of more than one viewpoint in a picture. The drawing is a preparatory study for a fresco in the Sistine Chapel. At the right, a reproduction of the fresco dating from before the restoration. For reasons of clarity, we removed the separately drawn bent arm at the left. The left side of this ignudo, or sitting male nude, is drawn with the viewpoint at the left. However, the upper part of the right shoulder seems to be drawn with the viewing point at the right. In 1937, Pablo Picasso applied 3 points of view in his portrait of Dora Maar. The right part of the face is depicted as seen from the mid-left below. The left part of the face is shown en profile, thus as seen from the left. However, the left eye is a profile drawing from the right. By the way, it was Pablo Picasso, born 42 years after Cezanne, who seems to have said, "My one and only master. Cezanne was like the father of us all." Cezanne is indeed often described as the father of modern art.